All right, everyone. Hello and good morning, good afternoon. This is Brian Kane out of Sacramento, California, and I'm super excited. I'm super pumped up this morning, and you're on the Midday Motivational Call. This is a call that happens every single Monday, Wednesday, and Friday at 9 a.m. Pacific time if you're on the West Coast, or 12 noon, of course, if you're on the East Coast. So what I want to do over the course of the next few minutes, just to remind, if you're on the call live or you're listening to the replay, this is a call for small business owners. This is a call for anyone looking for motivation, anyone looking for maybe an extra dose of marketing tips, or someone that's just looking to get the day started right, because you found yourself on this call as someone who is looking to take control of their life. One of the things that I believe is important to do and important to know and kind of important to have on the radar and awareness is typically when you get into the entrepreneur arena, and you'll find out very quickly that there's some skill sets that you need to learn. There are some things on the list of things that you need to do to take action daily, especially if you're in sales. Maybe you need to take a product to the marketplace and be able to communicate that message to the market. Maybe you are working a job right now, and maybe you just want to rise up the ranks, but then be able to do it through influence and being able to impact and influence other people in a way that you'll notice that more positive things start to happen around you, and maybe you don't know why at first, but there's a certain mystical thing that happens on the inside of you, and that light that can come out and vibrate and attract others. There's something that can be developed. And I really like that in entrepreneurship. I really like that when you get into this arena of maybe taking a product to the marketplace and being able to deliver value and be able to solve problems and maybe give people a way out if maybe you're like in network marketing or a business opportunity, or maybe you've just kind of figured out some things and you want to be able to transition what you know in that energy, kind of like the way that maybe you're hearing the sound of my voice, how there's energy that's coming out of my mouth and it's kind of flying in to maybe the speaker on my side of the line, but then it's traveling through the airwaves. And it's coming out maybe if you got headphones in, or maybe you've got the phone up to your ear, maybe you're pacing back and forth, maybe you're in a car. But the truth of the matter is everything is energy. And so here's going to be the topic for today. Is going to be storytelling. It's going to be maybe developing your presentation. It's going to be really identifying what your message is to the market and how can you actually begin to attract more people into your life, and also be able to communicate what you have to offer as potentially maybe a unique selling proposition, or a way for, if like, for instance, like if you're selling a product in the marketplace and there's hundreds of thousands of other people selling the same thing, whether it's like on street corners, or there's businesses popping up, or maybe there's other distributors in the same company, or maybe there is people in the same demographic, like audience that you're marketing to, and so what's the best way to stand out? What's the best way to really rise as someone who's influential anywhere that you go? And you'll know it always starts with you. It always starts with the energy that you bring to the market and the value that you can really bring and serve to others. So like, for instance, sometimes, like when we get into a new space in a new industry, sometimes you think you have to be the best of the best. And I promise you that's not true. What you have to do is you have to be on the journey. You have to be someone who's committed and willing to grow and develop, as to someone who maybe you had a rocky start. But then as you keep going, as you keep getting in the trenches and learning what's possible, then you get some new ideas. And then you figure out this is the way to take action. And you keep going, you be consistent, you're persistent, and you have an intention of what you wanted to do, because maybe you've written down your goals and you know exactly what you want to accomplish. And so when you write down the goals and you know exactly what you want to accomplish, then all you can see is what that end point is, what maybe the end of the movie looks like for you. And when you know what the end of the movie looks like, you can reverse engineer that process of how you get there, which coincidentally is going to have some obstacles. It's going to have some ups and downs. It's going to have some things that you need to overcome. It's going to have some skill sets that you need to learn. It's going to have some actions that you need to take. It's going to have some mistakes that need to be made, because wisdom comes from two places. It comes from mistakes, or it comes from mentors. So the way that I first figured out kind of about this storytelling and why it's so important was because back in 2010, I was someone who was really just getting out of high school. I was starting to play some college soccer, but I had one of my soccer coaches who I hadn't spoke to in a year. He had reached out to me and gave me a call just one late night and said, "Hey, Brian, you got to be over at my house in 15 minutes." So I take the call and kind of thought things were wrong and said, "Hey, I'll be over there." Hadn't talked to this guy in a year. And so I get in a car and I drive over to his house, and it ended up being a presentation with some of the most influential people in the room that he had. And so he put this DVD in. He gave a whole presentation, if you know what I'm talking about, where it's like where you go to like these presentations, usually for like network marketing. Well, that's a room that I found myself in. But the difference for me, or maybe like you, because I mean, I know you're on the line right now too, or listening to the replay, I had to have been the only excited person in that room because I saw a vision. I saw a way of being able to earn multiple streams of income, residual income, and also create time leverage for myself, where it's like, as long as there was a certain level of income coming in and it covered the monthly expenses, it covered the bills, then what does that create for you? It creates time freedom, where it could be Monday or it could be Saturday. Every day was just a different day. But here I was, like suit and tie, wandering around in Walmarts and shopping malls because I was just ignorance on fire. And I was just hitting up everyone, just tapping people on the shoulders. "Hey, you look like a sharp person." They would turn around and I would say, "Hey, you want to get into a business opportunity?" And so I tried to collect name, email, and phone number as I would then try to follow up and get them to a home or hotel meeting. And so the reason why I'm kind of sharing this process with you is because it led me to stumbling and fumbling and doing everything the wrong way and having almost no results in my business because I was just ignorance on fire, and I was taking massive action. But there were some things that I've learned. There was mentors that I encountered who shared with me some ideas and some things that I had to pick up along the way. I don't know if you can relate to anything like that. Well, 2011 comes around, and so I started kind of get the hint and start doing some Google searches, and I find out that maybe this thing could actually be built on the internet. And that actually kind of lit me up because I was thinking, man, I don't really like driving around town. I don't really like going to the shopping malls and Walmarts and getting rejected. I don't really like hitting up friends and family, but I could actually log into the computer, and you're saying I can go into social media like maybe Facebook or Instagram or one of these like social media platforms, and that there are people there that have very specific interests that I can relate to, and now I can make new friends. That to me is awesome, that I could actually do this from my computer or from my mobile phone. And so once I get on the internet, one of my first breakthroughs was that I had made a video. So I made a video, kind of like a curiosity, you know how like in old school network marketing where you might give someone a late night phone call and invite them to an event, and they're like, "What is this thing? Like, what are you working on?" And you almost can never get an answer out, but it's like the best invite in the world. Like, "Hey, bring a bag of ice," and then they show up. Well, I did one of these type of videos where it was inviting to the next event on the internet. And when someone watched this video, and then when they gave me a name, email address, and a phone number, what I noticed was that the conversations became a lot easier because now they're making a decision based off of you. They're making a decision based off of you, which is important. Because the only people that I believe should really be on your list, of course, you don't want to prejudge. You want to make sure everyone's open. But what I believe is you should approach your warm market of people who know, like, and trust you. Know, like, and trust you. That's the best market, because if someone watches a presentation of something that you recommended, it doesn't have to be you on the presentation, of course. I recommend that. That's a skill set that you build over time. But if you have a perfect invite to an event with going to a home or hotel meeting with a great message, then here's what happens. Is someone will make a decision based off of the information and then based off of the trust that they have with you. That means you need to step up and increase your personal development. You have to start listening to motivational and maybe inspirational audios, or maybe you really have to start diving in and becoming a master of your craft. You have to start taking more action daily and going through those mistakes as you pick up more wisdom. Because as your confidence builds over time, it's going to be very noticeable in your energy. And if you want to attract the right types of people into your life and into your business, and you want to have positive people surrounding you at all moments of the day, 24/7, as it creates a viral wave of impact of just more positivity being kind of naturally just expanded all around you, kind of just like a wave of momentum that you've created. It starts with you, but you want to identify where you're at in your story. What type of story are we talking about? I call it the hero's journey. I don't know if anyone remembers back to like maybe like high school English and talking about the hero's journey. Well, I want to explain the hero's journey real quick, and then we'll pop off the call today, because today is actually a special day. Today is July 31st. It's the end of the month, and I know for many entrepreneurs on the line today that usually means like the last day of a month is usually a closing month. That means you have to take more action than ever. That means you have to set yourself up for the next month. You have to get enough momentum sparked in the organization that you're looking to create and get the results that you want by the end of tonight. That's the mentality you have to have. You actually have to go in with, I'm going to crush this thing. So what is the hero's journey? For the person who's looking to get into a business and be able to sell a lot more products a lot faster because you're connecting with a certain type of people. And here's the thing about a story is when you connect with someone in a story, it allows you to talk to everyone all at the same time, all different personality types, whether maybe it's the fun person who just wants to maybe go to like events or something and they just want to have fun. They want to do crazy activities, whether it's someone who is more directive, like they love image. They want things like done their way. They're very on point, very structured, and also kind of detailed at the same time. But really, it's like they've got one focus. It's their way or it's gonna be the highway. You've got the people that are more supportive, people that really would just, if there's one thing and maybe one purpose that they had in life, it's this: they just want to see people succeed. They just want to see people grow. They want to do whatever they can to support others and give back to the community. And then you have another person who is maybe going to be your detailed person, who is going to be analytical, and they're looking for the facts and the figures, and they want everything in order and in place in order to make a decision, because maybe they're someone that like they see things for like the long term and they just want to make sure everything's okay and checks out. So you have those types of people. And a story can speak to everyone, because what happens is when someone hears your story and where you came from and the struggles and the breakdowns and everything that you went through, they can take the story and the archetype from the story and maybe the character that you've created, which is really who you are, and they can see themselves relate to it on some level. Because maybe someone hasn't went through the same struggle that you've went through. Maybe someone hasn't gone through the same breakdowns or made the same mistakes. What happens is someone has made mistakes that might be remotely similar, or maybe under the same similar circumstances or type of circumstances. And so when you tell a story, someone in their mind will relate to what that means for them and come to their own conclusion. And so stories allow you to demonstrate like a message that you want to deliver, but facts tell and stories sell. A lot of people, they don't remember like specific times or things that happened, but almost everyone remembers a good story. I bet you could remember a movie almost, you might not remember all the specific details, but you might remember the events of a movie that you saw maybe like 5 or 6 years ago. If someone tells you a good story, maybe a party that you went through, you probably don't remember any of the details that what happened at the party, but you remember that one story. If one of your best friends and you were like maybe a few years back, you went and did just this awesome activity, I bet you don't remember anything about it, but you remember a good story. What's that one event that happened that you'll always remember and it's unforgettable? Well, in business, you can take the concept of storytelling and use it the same way for business. And here's how it goes. When you first start off, there's going to be a person or a character that usually starts off in like some ordinary world, like it's just a regular circumstance. But then maybe something happens, and then there's like a call to adventure. So maybe someone reached out to you and said, hey, like, this is going on. There's an opportunity in place, or maybe there's just an event. There's something that you see, and then there's a vision that pops and downloads into your mind almost instantaneously in a moment and allows you to see the future, what's possible. But sometimes when you get that message, isn't there like a refusal? There's a little bit of resistance. Hey, I've never done this before. So when you get that call to adventure, sometimes there's a refusal of the call. So one of the things that will definitely happen is along the line, especially when there's a refusal, sometimes you'll get some support backed up. Sometimes you have to build up what's inside of you. But usually what happens is there's usually like a supernatural aid that will come to assist. Maybe it's like maybe it might not be necessarily a mentor, but there is something that kind of helps you along the way. And right as it helps you along the way, then what do you typically encounter? You encounter that first threshold, that first, oh man, like this is going to be a lot tougher than it looks. It's going to be a lot tougher than it looks. And that's probably just the way that you feel inside, because maybe it's a new journey, just getting started, just learning the ropes. And then when you decide and choose to proceed and keep going and be persistent because you see the vision, you're also going to encounter a road of trials. You're going to encounter some things that are going to press your way of thinking, the way that you've always done things. You're going to try things and they didn't work. And then what's going to happen is you're going to find some helpers. There's probably going to be some people in the community. They're going to take you by the hand, and they're going to say, look how simple things can be. Why don't we just do it this way? And then you're going to get led to mentors. You're going to get led to someone who can show you the path, who can teach you the new skill set, who can teach you how to communicate, who can teach you how to tell stories, who can teach you how to go through a transformation, who can teach you how to become more attractive, who can teach you how to take the internet and take your mobile phone and tap into unlimited prospects and leads for any product that you ever decide to sell, and no matter what business that you ever choose. But then what typically happens? You get followed, you kind of go back into the abyss. And when you experience that moment, like, have you ever had like a life-changing moment where it's like something just kind of hit you and you realize, oh man, like I've been doing things so not efficiently all along, but then it becomes very simple in any area of your life, maybe fitness or relationships, family, just in an area of your life. What is a breakthrough that you could have had? Because after you learn the skill that you need and you acquire it and you start to become maybe not a master of it, but now you're starting to use it and you're starting to use it all the time. There's a transformation that takes place because you started off in a place that you probably didn't want to be, a place that maybe you experienced pain or hurt, but you saw the vision at the end of the tunnel, started taking action. And there were some things that you needed to learn and kind of go through, like you had to scrape your knees across the broken glass and get bloody for just a moment until you figure out what works for you. And sometimes it's just going back to the basics. Sometimes for you, it's just going back to the basics, but the difference between you choosing to go back to the basics is your belief that it works. Is the belief that what you're doing is the right path. Is the belief that where you're going, that all your efforts that you ever put is something that can actually leave a legacy and continue to pay you for the rest of your life. And so then it becomes a decision. Because the only reason why you wouldn't make the decision is because you don't have the belief. And so that's why typically with transformation comes another refusal of return. You've got the power. You've got the strategies. You've got that mindset shift. You've attended every single conference call and every single training and every single team training. And at first, maybe at one point, you wanted a team training after the team training after the team training after the team training, just to get another team training and the explanation of what happened on the last team training, what's going to be on the next team training. Because there's that refusal. There's that refusal that, man, this is a little outside my comfort zone. If I just apply what I've been learning all along, maybe I'll start to notice the difference of where I'm at right now as I'm listening to the replay or the call right now live from where I first started. Maybe a couple weeks ago, maybe a month ago, for some people like 6 months ago, a year ago, for some people 5 years ago, 10 years ago. Whatever activity that you're looking to get better at, what your goals are, how far have you come, but maybe not realized it? Because when you see that even the slightest change, that slightest just, oh, I got better than the day before. I'm constantly and never ending improving on a day-by-day basis, stacking and stacking and stacking and stacking and getting better and being more consistent, more persistent, more persistent, more persistent. In my story, then when you approach that refusal of retention, or the refusal of return, and you get back to that point of where you face the resistance. So you go back to that threshold. Then what happens is you, with the belief system, everything that you've learned over the course of years or decades or however long you've been on planet Earth and all the experiences that you've ever gone through and all of the actual events and stories that you have, doesn't it just all come together all at the same time and almost explode with the power of energy that you can now digest? And it's almost like a source of power that's giving you the ability to break through all obstacles and get through to the other side. And what is the other side for you? It's probably going to be different for everyone. I mean, again, it's probably based on your personality. I mean, do you like to help and support people? I mean, how many people do you want to help? Do you want to help 1,000 families earn $1,000 a month? Is that the type of thing that you want to do? Do you want to have recognition on some type of stage and kind of share your story and some of the obstacles that you've overcome and the way that you did it? No one could ever have any excuses because the things that you've gone through ain't nothing compared to what some other people might be. I hate to use the word complain because I don't like to give it energy, but what they might be complaining about, and you're like, man, just knock it off. Let's do it this way, you know? Are you the type of person that is just like, you know, I love business, I love selling products, but here, let me just knock this out so that way we can have all the fun in the world. We could go on the cruises, we could go on roller coasters, we could just have a fun time and travel and just work the business from the phone. Maybe prospect every once in a while. Or are you the type of person where you see the vision long term, all the details are in place, everything checks out, the leaders check out, the company, no scaling issues, and you see a company is going to be around for decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades and decades, where you could leave a legacy, do the work once. And on a playing field like that, you realize that, man, if I just spent some energy and just design my life and the way that I want to do things and the way that works for you and your family and how much time you have. Are you working a job right now? Do things need to be done part-time? What are you going to do in that hour? You know? Do you know what your goals are? Do you have things mapped out? Because it's these things, like when you actually start kind of putting them on paper, it's like, man, is that like actually my story too? So I'm gonna tell this cool story, and then I realize I don't even have a game plan, you know? And that's a breakthrough. That's a breakthrough. Because what story, if you were to step in like 6 months into the future, 12 months into the future and look back at what you're doing right now and today, like today as in July 31st, we're closing out the month, what is the story that you're going to tell? And if you want to tell a cool story, then that probably means you have to give a little bit more energy. There's something that you probably need to overcome. There's probably a result that you need to get, and you know you need to get it. there's probably someone that you need to communicate with. There's probably someone that needs to hear from you, and so you can impact them on a bigger level. So I encourage you to believe that you are great. You are someone that you're a hero. You're someone that if you just identify where you are on the map of your journey, then you know exactly what you need to do to get to the other side. So this is the Midday Motivational Call. Brian Kane, and we have Wayne Topola up on Friday. So save the number. We'll see you on live on the next one. Take care.